Well, welcome to our 13 Sports Coach Show. We've changed it up just a little bit. We're here in studio with Shawnee Heights boys head coach Ken Darding. Coach, thanks so much for joining me and having a little bit of a different scenery here for the coaches show.
Yeah.
And so, Coach, I'll ask you this. You're no stranger to the game of basketball. You've been coaching for so many years. People know your name. What is it about coaching that just really drives you, and what is it about just, coaching so many kids? What is it about coaching that just really makes you itch all the time?
For me, it's easy. Everybody says it. I don't care whether you're a gardener or a principal or a teacher. It's about the kids, but I'm not sure a lot of people believe that. But with me, it's totally the kids. Nowhere else do you have the isolated chance to influence and teach and mentor kids than you do in coaching, and that's what keeps me in it.
You know what? And we talked on the phone just a couple days ago. You talk about Rick Bloomquist. You talk about Ron Slaymaker. So many legendary coaches here in the state of Kansas. You being including in that conversation. What is it like having coaches like that, Coach Slaymaker, Coach Bloomquist, that have seen the game in so many different ways like yourself? What is it like having those guys as friends?
Oh, it's great. Coach Slaymaker was my mentor. I mean, we go back 50 plus years, and you just see the class guy. You see a guy that'll teach you how to live life, let alone coach. It's not as much X and O's as just the right way to do things. And Rick had been a dear friend for not quite that long, but a long time. I was laying around the other day, and I'm missing him already. So that's where relationships is everything. It's what it's about, and majority of the people you come across, you leave with positive memories and things. Unfortunately, there's some that I call the lone wolves, but most of the experiences with former players, former coaches, are always wonderful memories.
Coach, and looking back last year where, you had a really great roster last year. A lot of guys that could facilitate, a lot of guys that could shoot. You had big guys down low with Jaron Sanchez. You had Deacon Pomeroy. You had so many kind of different pieces that you were working with. What was it about last year's group that maybe had that motor and just, was able to, get to that state tournament? Obviously was heartbreaking. I was watching that game.
Yeah.
Just what was it about last year's team that just kind of was maybe different than what you've coached before?
Well, what was exciting for me about him was you're talking about, you're using adjectives that people wouldn't have used about them 3 years before. There were kids that junior high people told me I'd never want to coach. They would never become some, and they did. So that was the exciting thing. But our group last year was an unselfish group that we had 2 or 3 people that had some skills and the ability to score, and we didn't have jealousy keeping them from it. We had people willing to throw the ball to them, willing to set a pick and get them open, willing to guard and not shoot, and that's not common in today's world. But it was just a group that really competed. I wouldn't say we didn't have a lot of all-staters. We didn't have a lot of size, but we had kids that played hard and played together.
And Coach, when you look at in terms of how you put guys out on the court and how coaches that can relate to this, meaning there's so many different lineups you can do, so many different ways, and kids that you have every single year. What is it like for you to put that lineup together every single day and know what you have and be able to, fiddle with the lineup if you need to?
To me, it's everything, because there's people that recruit players. There's people that God drops a 6-8 star in. But to me, everything in coaching, when I judge a successful year, I don't judge it by being 20-5 or 5-15. I judge it by how close each player came to their potential. And if we have kids that don't buy in or kids that don't develop, it's a failure year for me. I don't care what our record is. I look at it as a failure. So I love what you're talking about. We'll be even more diverse this year. I mean, we'll have, dang, we could put crazy lineups out there. We could put a lineup out there with nobody under 6'2", or we could put a lineup out there with 5'8", being the second tallest. So I enjoy that, but that comes from postmen do guard drills. Guards, we work on post and guards. We work on postmen doing ball handling drills. So we're not stuck to, you got to play this position, you got to play that. And you know, somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get sick, something's going to happen that's going to wreck your little perfect world. So I look forward to developing kids and watching them fit into those roles.
You know, and what is it about you, Coach, where you look at your coaching philosophy and people maybe not know about Coach Ken Darting? What are some of those adjustments? Obviously, there's things that you want to keep every single year, right, that has worked for you for so long. What are those adjustments like as a coach? If people don't know what it's like to be on a sideline like yourself, what are some of those adjustments that you have to make each year, especially when you possibly have new kids every year?
Well, again, key word is relationships. When you have relationships with kids, you have to know what they're capable of, what they can do, what they can't do. We have drills where we spend 2 minutes to go, us up one. What are we going to do? And the kid will say, we got to get it to Jarrett, or we got, and just how we're going to do it's already been set, but they know, okay, it's Jarrett time, or we're going to lose with Jarrett if we lose. We're going to do this or that. So I think it's just a relationship of knowing the attitudes, the character, and the abilities of your kids, and then you choose which one you need right now. Do you need a three-point shot? Do you need a guy to go down and bury somebody and get a post up? Do you need somebody to take it to the rim and get a layup or create a three for somebody? So that's the biggest thing where the adjustments come from.
So, Coach, when you go to the tournament like that, obviously you're no stranger to the state tournament either. What is it about when you go to that tournament and, right, there's that heartache or that there's that cheer, right? There's that happiness. How do you talk to your guys about, as they leave, or, guys that are coming back so they can understand, hey, we can get there with the group of guys that we have? What is your message to those guys every single year, right? The end goal, of course, is a state championship. What do you kind of talk to them about leading up to that?
Well, it's harder to do than say, but we truly believe that our goal is to get better every single game. Now, everybody says it again, but you don't do it. We don't want to we lost our first two games last year to two very high-ranked teams. We're 0-2, and we don't lose one again the rest of the year because we have that attitude. Okay, we're 0-2. That's gone. We got to get this one. We got to put a streak together here. So staying in the now is what it's about. If you start looking ahead, and that's a concern going into next year, because now are we thinking we're pretty good? If we are, we're going to be just average. Or are we hungry and seeing that we can, as you said, play with anybody? We beat Aquinas, which in my opinion was the best team in the state of Kansas in the sub-state finals. So we know we can play with anybody, any team in the state. But we also know we don't have that 6'8" guy. God ain't dropped him yet, I told you about. So we can be beat by just about anybody too. So now this year my message will be, how do we respond to last year? Do we take that as a sign, let's keep going, we can turn this into something special, or do we sit back and say, yeah, we're good, we don't need to worry about them, and we'll get beat?
And Coach, I guess the other thing is when you go into these high school gyms, right, there's so many big gyms here in the state of Kansas, and obviously the biggest gyms are obviously Bramwich and Allen Fieldhouse, of course. But on the high school level, What is it about the energy that's maybe different about the high school gyms? Obviously, you got the kids in the student sections. They always dress out in their pink outs, white outs, whatever it might be. What is it about the energy in those gyms that maybe pumps you up as a coach, right? What is it about when you see those student sections get fired up every single game?
Oh, definitely the positive. I have 10 years of college coaching, the rest in high school, and that's definitely a positive of the high school coaching is the energy of young people. Man, I sit and laugh at some of the chants they got put together. Creative as heck. The principal's over there trying to shut them down, and they're entertaining the heck out of me. I love it. And it's, I've always said, a full packed house is the greatest thing in the world to play for, and a full packed house that's against you is the second greatest thing to play for. So I'd way rather have 7,000 students throwing stuff and calling me names and then 13 people sitting up there booing you. So the crowd is all energy. The high school kids are amazing. They're creative. Some of the stuff they come up with is truly, they kill me. It's funny.
So, Coach, I'll ask you another one, too. Going into next year, this upcoming season, right, I know you lose some players, right? That's how the business works. Mm-hmm. Who is a player or players that, if people don't know about them yet, that might have that breakout year for you guys this coming year?
Well, and that's the key to anybody's season is who breaks out. We know we got Jarrett Sanchez. He's an all-stater, all-league, all everything last year. 6'5", certainly one of the best players in the state of Kansas. So we know what Jarrett brings to us. We got Deacon Pomeroy, 6'4", second team all-league on a bunch of those postseason teams. Will be better because that's the way he is. He never at a summer workout because he's a baseball guy playing all over the world. But I'll guarantee you he'll come in as ready to play and as knowledgeable of what we've done over the summer as any kid we have. So those are keys, but we've got a guy that moved in right before the season last year from Montana. He don't know anything but 100%. He pulls the door open 100%. He's walking in, doesn't say a word, gets the ball and goes to work. He's a much improved player, and he's a 6'3", and not necessarily got great skills, but just plays so hard. We have his little brother's a freshman. He lifted weights at 6 o'clock every morning, went to football workouts, come to basketball workouts, and then came back and played against the European kids at night. So he was in the gym eight hours a day some days. We never had that at Shawnee Heights. We're a baseball school. We don't have kids that come, and now we do. We got a whole junior class that never miss a workout. They're there. And so that's the unknowns are what makes us. We talk about it every day. You're a good shooter. You don't have to shoot a lot. You don't have to be, but understand you got to make a shot you're supposed to make. That's all you have to do. We don't want you to create. We don't want you. You got to make a shot you're supposed. If you do that, we're going to be good. And you're just as important because you have to do that as Jarrett getting his 20.
Well, Coach, is there anything else that I'm missing? I know we went over a lot of different topics, whether it was from last year, this year, anything about your coaching style that people might not know about, anything else that I'm missing that you'd like to add?
No, I just say this. And my kids know it, all of my kids know it, the last 50 years know it. I'm not a friend to kids, and I have 13, 17 foster children from former players, godsons and daughters. So usually we end friends. But the point being is today too many parents, too many principals, too many teachers, too many coaches are friends. My job is to make them as good a player, as good a person, and as good a student as they can. If they don't want to do any of those three things, me and them's going to clash. If they want to do them things, we're going to get along good, and hopefully they get some lessons along the line. If they come back 20 years from now and say, Coach, you was the meanest SOB I've ever played for, I'm all right with that. But if some kid walks up and says, we would have won the state championship if you would have worked us harder, that'd kill me. That'd ruin everything we've done. So I'm here to be their mentor and make them better. And that's the way I've always coached. I will. Parents are not going to influence me. Principals and superintendents are not going to influence me. Fire me, I'll go on somewhere and do something else. But we're going to do that. We're going to come in and we're going to play hard, and we're going to play together, and we're going to be unselfish. And if we don't, we're going to fight.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much for joining our
Thank
show.
you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.